I think this will be a nice change for JDG. And
yes,
here's
of
something
course.
for all the people in chat. You know, first game of each series is blind pick, so maybe going to get some interesting mirror matchups, maybe going to get some funky picks, but definitely going to be a fun game.
Even after seeing it yesterday, right, I'm still going to remember, oh wait, yeah, it is blind pick. That's the biggest Christmas of all. Everyone loves blind pick, and Clement was pointing this out yesterday, that blind pick in the first game sets up the series, and it's not, you know, we don't have to get to that fifth game, right? We don't have to get to that deciding game. Instead, this opens it up, so it is a lot nicer. For a lot of fans, they didn't hit it.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting as well that even a lot of like their fundamentals and how they played the game just weren't there. Especially, I think a lot of the early recall timings and like sync up between LvMao and Kanavi. Their picks were completely different in group stage. They kept trying to force the Silas jungle, which was super weird. So hopefully coming into this tournament, we can see more of the stock standard JDG that won Spring Split.
Hopefully, because we're going into it with V5 challenging them. V5, a team that made it so much further than anyone expected in summer. They almost made it to Worlds, but was stopped by Suning in that all-important quarterfinal. Ladies and gentlemen, Game 1 blind pick here of JDG versus V5. A Merry Christmas to you all. A Merry Christmas, so well said, with two great teams who we're expecting big things of coming into spring 2021. And this is going to be everything for V5. 4-0 in the group stage, undefeated. You know, some really big return games as well. I think we saw a couple of comebacks through the group stage as well, Lyrics. So V5 have already started to impress.
Oh, they definitely had some stomps, thinking of their game against TT, but me and you watching their E-Star game together where they tried to sneak Baron 3 times, and, you know, the fourth time actually worked out, and they ended up winning the game off that. But, you know, going into this game, some of the interesting things to note is obviously the jungle Pantheon. Weiwei was actually the first person to pull it out this tournament in one of their group stage games. It has functioned a bit differently than I would have expected because, right, we've known Pantheon as this early game kind of do-or-die champion. So I came in expecting, hey, a lot of early game ganks, maybe some kind of like cheesy level 2 or level 3. But we saw Karsa yesterday played a bit more slowly, kind of waiting for that level 6 power spike, and then using it, you know, the global pressure to start finding picks in these side lanes.
I think what's also interesting about the game is the fact that Zoom has gone for Sett top. Now, there's not many solo lane sets you and I were discussing the other day in group stage, but Zoom, this was a bit of a favorite for him in spring and summer, so not a surprise that he wanted to opt back to that with Langx going into his Ornn, which is actually just getting beaten with the Facebreaker right now.
Yeah, and this is actually the first top lane set we're having in Demacia Cup, but, you know, again, very easy matchup picking Sett into a tank. He has that passive for very strong early dueling potential at level 1 like we see in topside right now. So I think it makes a bit of sense. You bring some CC when you already have a carry jungler, and you can also use xiye to make impact plays on either top or the bot side of the map.
True. And the ability for bottom side of the map with Alistar, Kai'Sa as well, a lane that can be quite easy to gank. And it does feel like, you know, seeing Kai'Sa once again, no big surprise. For anyone who hasn't been watching Demacia Cup, our most played AD carry, even over Samiras. That's a great block, but LokeN with the Deadly Flourish still going to get locked down. ppgod and Y4 do burn some damage, but there is more sustain in JDG's bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's been a nice change of pace, I think, in this tournament so far, as we've seen a lot more 2v2 action, right? The Leona, the Alistar, a lot of lethality, AD carries, so we've been getting a lot of 2v2 kills in the past week.
Oh, yeah. It's been kind of exciting down there. I want to go over V5 a bit because we've been talking a lot about the story of JDG, and, you know, you mentioned Weiwei on this Pantheon pick, which is something that's been really exciting when we saw Top Esports Karsa play it. Mole on something like the Syndra is a really good sign as well. In the group stage, his Zoe was picked a couple of times. It's one of his best champions, and Mole has shown his diversity and shown that something like the Syndra is not to be trifled with.
Yeah, and the thing I like about V5's comp a lot, right, is the amount of range it has to play with. Obviously, the Jhin ultimate, the Call of the Forge God coming out from Langx, the ultimate coming out from Weiwei as well, Scatter the Weak on Mole. So you have a lot of pick potential. You have a lot of long-range ways, non-committal ways to look for a fight as compared to JDG, who, you know, if they go in, they're going to look to go in. But for them, they do also always have that destiny to, you know, kind of spot out where V5 are on the map and on objectives. And if they want to look for their own plays in a side lane. And
then kind of move away from that with the help of the Alistar. It looks like there is a lot of speciality with JDG's comp. We'll talk about that a little bit later. As we go into this first game, a reminder to everyone that this has been blind pick. We see no mirror matchups, which is actually quite funny. We had a Zoe versus Zoe yesterday, but seeing xiye do what pretty much Jgl would do, which is play these global mids, runs true while Mole running into the Syndra. There is no CS lead in the mid lane, though. That's crucial as we're getting close towards level 6. But bottom lane, bit of an engage from LvMao as the wave is pushing up. So Lyric, we just had pretty standard laning phases, but note that JDG is ahead through some CS discrepancy in the bottom lane and through the jungle.
Yeah, the bottom lane is going to equal out right now. I think the most interesting thing is you look at all the bot side vision that V5 has gotten themselves in Kanavi's jungle. Obviously, Drake just spawning. And one thing to note about V5 that we've seen in the group stage so far, they're very much like Summer. It's still very aggressive, all based around their three-man core of Weiwei, Mole, and ppgod, kind of linking up on the map. Again, looking for these roams, looking for these picks. Typically, it has been all about enabling Weiwei, especially when he's on something like a Graves, you know, his best champion in Summer. But instead, just going to go for the neutral objective this time around. And now we're seeing what we talked about earlier, you know, Kanavi and LvMao syncing up those recall timings and finding vision and plays on the opposite side of the map.
We're going to see this a lot out of both teams as xiye actually flashes forward, burns one from Mole on the way in. That's LvMao roaming up for the pressure while Weiwei now. Information's given over that he's doing dragons. So we've got Cloud Dragon, excuse me, for V5 to start the game off. But JDG still ahead in individual gold, and they'll have a chance to contest for the next Infernal Dragon. And while that was going on, there's a bit of an invade from Kanavi, so he's really farming up here on this Graves. Another jungler who, kind of like Weiwei, had great individual performances and had some real carry potential in Summer.
Yeah, and again, Kanavi was the honestly standout jungler for most of 2020 in the LPL, obviously, pretty much up until the final and then when we got to Worlds. So I still don't think that really detracts from the year he had. And once again, kind of having this composition in a meta that really sets him up to kind of play the way he wants. Again, very farm-oriented, likes to go and find the enemy jungle, really snowball his own advantage. And that's been one of the things about JDG's comp in this game is that, you know, they have their global mid lane on the Twisted Fate, so it's a lot more about kind of enabling Kanavi to go find these invades. Or for V5, right, it is Weiwei who has the global ultimate, so a lot more about impacting those lanes, impacting those side lanes.
I also like the fact that, you know, when you talk about global ultimates as well, remember Zoom with Teleport has the ability to really set up this fight too. So both solo laners in great positions if they can get off the ground, but it's exactly what Zoom's done in this game. I was looking across the board and I thought, man, this gold lead is quite large for a CS advantage. I'll hold because LokeN might be in a bit of trouble. It's a good dancing grenade to drop down, and it is just Weiwei who gets the trade in the end. I was mentioning, top lane is almost 30 CS ahead. Zoom with his Sett remains true, and while this wave is pushing out, Zoom's going to back on quite a lot of gold, so it'll be curious to see what the mythic is this game for the Sett top lane, whether he wants to go more defensive or maybe more of that bruiser duelist that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I would expect it to just be something along the lines of the Sunfire Cave, but we actually have seen in solo queue a lot of sets go Prowler's Claw and get that extra dash in and be, again, a bit more of an engaged threat, since I don't think Sett, like, kind of standalone really is much of an engager. You're typically, like, bringing people out of the fight or looking for a flank, so gonna be interesting to see where he goes with it and picking up the Iron Spike Whip.
Gore Drinker, huh? So there's going to be a lot of sustain there. More the Bruiser path, which I like. But this could be danger, Lyric. JDG is setting up for the flank on V5. They have no idea they're here.
Yeah.
Okay, LvMao makes use of that. Collateral damage does so much damage. The burst huge, but V5 still get first blood. It is Mole for the Alistar, while meanwhile, Call the Forge God going to lay it down. xiye walks to his death, and ppgod secures it. PP levers rising up, but thanks for the blast cone. Zoom flashes way too late. He couldn't even ult in that one, and V5 somehow turned the tides of battle.
Yeah, so V5 coming out, you know, 1 kill ahead, but still JDG forced them off the objective, and we are going to see JDG actually get back on the map first. Right now, with Kanavi taking away the Raptors, at least going to be getting a bit of, you know, an XP advantage in the jungle is 1 level up right now, so you know, this fight not really completely disastrous for either side. Both teams going to walk away scot-free. And we're going to see exactly what you were talking about, right? V5 starting up the objective. JDG looking for the play. Destiny comes in. Nice headbutt pulverize coming in from LvMao. Mole does go down from the Ignite. And JDG just keep walking forward. I think it was a bit too aggressive. ppgod taking down xiye in the end as well. And ppgod luckily able to get away.
I mean, the ppgod neglecting the damage on the backside with the engage. But Lyric, what I really love out of that play is Langx's coordination to Ornn ult and stop the follow-up. Hence, the other kill doesn't go down. It's not an even trade. But as the resets come through, Kanavi does get the Rift Herald, so it does feel like there is some small bit of favoritism there. While V5 reverse play on the bottom side of the map, trying to zone out LvMao and LokeN.
Yep, V5 very decisive. Again, JDG make the right call. Like I said, they were able to get back on the map first. Kanavi was already healthy. They had the pressure, so they take the Herald. But very decisive from V5, realizing, hey, they're on the top side of the map. Let's come and deny their bot lane, get some plays onto Y4. And Y4 actually has been one of the members they've been setting up in this tournament.
Yeah.
Of course, we did see Y4 be the standout carry in their comeback win against Alistar, right, popping off on that Kai'Sa. So it's kind of nice to see Y4 perform when in summer we knew, you know, V5's AD carry position was much more of a role-playing position, right? Whether it was SamD or Y4, they function the same.
Another play on the top side of the map. This is the response. Langx has to flash away. Searing charge. Good dodge here from Langx. Collateral damage doesn't kill him. The tick down for the burn, but he heals up. Langx, nice fancy footwork as he uses Call the Forge God to clear the minion wave. He needs one more Q. Throw out the Pillars of Autumn, says Master Chief, and Langx manages to deny the play.
Yeah, Bomby, Syndra, and the Bramble Vest coming in already, so Langx able to make it out of there. Again, nice plays, nice use of the W as well. Clears out the wave, and V5 just going to keep stacking Drakes. And when you have these champions like the Jhin, like the Pantheon, who again theoretically fall off later into the game, it is quite nice to, you know, start this Drake snowball rolling early.
With a Mountain Soul, sir, do we need to explain Leona, Ornn, you know, how good this is for a team like V5? Not
Sett,
to neglect
Alistar.
what JDG could do with it. Yeah. Right.
Ooh, though, we
What
actually
side?
have Stridebreaker coming in on the Sett. So again, still that dash item, but this one actually is the Bruiser one. I was incorrect. Stridebreak, Prowler's Claw is the lethality item. So again, going for that much more offensive and engage-oriented Sett route.
But you know what? Lyric doesn't matter. Look, hey, one day maybe. But at the very least, you know, you're right on the money. He had such a lead that he is looking across the map. Actually, the first one to pick up a Mythic. It is mana immune for LokeN on the Kai'Sa, so has opted in for that early. But first Mythic on the board, Zoom exerting his lead that he's found with pushing up, picking up that turret plate, leading CS for the majority of this game. And now xiye will be in a similar position because he's just picked up turret plating through the mid lane Herald push. And Kanavi goes back to farming after the fact. So it is the top side of the map really leading the charge for JDG and giving them access to this gold lead that has been prevalent for the first 12 minutes of this game.
Yeah, but still, obviously, very even game, right? V5 have been trading passive gold on the map or just opting into taking Drakes. I think another interesting thing to note in regards to items is that we see Y4 pick up the Noon Quiver, so not going to go towards that Eclipse Jhin that we've really been seeing a lot of, and instead it seems like he's going to go with that Gale Force. So going to give him a bit of extra, you know, survivability in a lot of these fights as well. It'll be kind of interesting to see Zoom using his dash to try and get on top of Y4 and Y4 utilizing his to get away.
And what I love as well is that, you know, Stridebreaker feels like a small phase rush, right? You know, every time you hit a unit, you get that 30 movement speed on top. So Zoom's got to have a lot of chase down in a composition that, you know, you're talking about wants to play at range. This is what you set up for me, is that there is really good range control from V5, and what better way to close the gap than with the movement speed that comes from that item.
Oh, again, I think that's a great way of putting it, right? If JDG want to get into the fight, you know, it's a Kai'Sa, she needs to go forward. There's no going back. Alistar is the same, right? Once you're in, you're in. So I really like that they're doubling down on their team's way of winning these fights against V5. And nice rotation coming from Zoom. Of course, this is what we knew him for in spring and summer. Throughout his whole career, just finding these windows to go and try and impact the rest of the map, trying to get some plates down in the mid lane. And of course, maybe going to miss, you know, 2 CS topside, but I don't think it means too much when he is winning, you know, by 20. So Zoom going to hold on to that lead while still trying to find pressure elsewhere.
What he knows as well that Langx won't have the Mythic for now. Went for the Bramble Vest early to negate a lot of that AD damage, but it is going to be the Sunfire Mythic, Sunfire Aegis coming first. A quick look towards the bottom of your screen, ladies and gentlemen. A bit more turret plating for the side of JDG. especially towards the solo laners and somehow the Alistar. But for V5, they're pretty close there. So gold remains pretty much even. The Dragons maybe giving a bit of net advantage for V5. You already talked about the condition of Mountain for both these teams, but 2 more closer for V5. But Lyric, important to note, it is actually, you know, so we do see the Gale Force on Jhin, so we're going to get that hell of a lot movement speed, as you're talking about. I just love the 3% movement speed passive, as ppgod is going in. This could be his death. Not tanky enough, even with the Aftershock. Versus 3, I think he's going to regret this. xiye even ults down with Destiny, and there goes the support of V5.
And again, we saw how JDG wants to use their global as compared to V5, right? It's about bringing xiye from mid, typically into the jungle or these river skirmishes, to where V5, you know, Weiwei's already there, so it doesn't really mean much that he has that global. I like the pick coming from JDG with Dragon only in about 50 seconds, so gonna get a bit of extra gold in their pocket. And I think an interesting thing to note going forward in the game that we won't necessarily see yet, but later down the line, is that JDG will have side lane control, right? We know Sett is going to win this 1v1 against the Ornn for the rest of the game. And Twisted Fate feeling a lot more comfortable sitting in a side lane with that Destiny as compared to something like the Syndra, who has no mobility, has no way of, you know, getting out of there. So JDG going to be a team that's going to look to take pressure from sides. Of course, V5 have ways of attacking that with the Pantheon, but for V5, it's going to be a lot more about grouping up in mid or playing through 2 lanes, you know, your 4-man core with the Ornn on the side.
Plus, we also got to remember that xiye has now picked up the Rocket Belt, and the Rocket Belt adds, you know, that extra value in, you know, getting the movement speed, also getting away from situations in the side lanes, so an escape added onto the kit alongside the Destiny. So now that his Mythic's picked up, we got to go across the board and just remember that Mole also has the Luden's Echo, so a lot more burst damage here with Eclipse on Weiwei that's been there for quite a while. Also, Sunfire Aegis was picked up by the on top. So Langx is a little bit tankier ahead of this upcoming fight in front of Mountain, which V5 currently have control of in the river.
Yep,
well,
but
wow, that was a flash denied. Mole, that was just hot.
2021, my friend, year of the mole coming in. And we actually saw V5 losing wave spot to try and take control of river.
As this is the engage, they're going to lock down because the burst damage insane. But Weiwei goes too far forward. He wanted that final shot, has to flash away. And LokeN's able to follow up. Big mistake out of the bottom lane of V5. And JDG smack him hard. Now onto the Mountain Dragon. A numbers disadvantage. V5 is sticking around, but xiye flashes forward with the golden card. Pick any card, he says, my friend. They're all going to be red as Langx left in a corner. And V5 fall to their demise.
Yeah, and I think just a bit of a mistake coming out from V5. They thought they found the pick. Again, they almost had the damage come out on LvMao, but not having quite enough burst. I still don't necessarily think that's the way your comp needs to play out. I think you bring in the Ornn first, right? He's your true frontliner in this scenario. Open up that Call of the Forge God and play with those ranged tools that we talk about. We see what happens when V5's comp just can't instantly burst out a member. And honestly, even had they killed LvMao, I think the same thing happens where then LokeN can just jump on Y4 and Y4 will be dead. Again, we see the burst come out, not enough to take him down. We didn't see the Syndra ultimate come out. He's too far away. And this is what I'm talking about. LokeN very easily able to jump forward on Y4.
Hang on a
Call the
second.
Forge God and Ornn just a bit too late.
Sorry, Lick, I'm just looking bottom left. Continue forward, because I know at the end of this fight, it was like, well, V5 have already lost so much with the numbers disadvantage, and this was coming to them.
Yep, so again, just massive win for the side of JDG. Now starting to build up that gold lead that you were kind of setting up earlier, right now sitting on 3K.
Yep.
And again, Mountain Dragon, obviously any Dragon benefits either team on you know, either side of the rift, but of course, again, having a lot of these tanks on both sides, so going to get a lot out of the resistances that we are building. Does look like Alistar potentially going to go towards that turbo chem tank, which of course has just been very standard this tournament.
True. An item that we've seen on Rammus and Alistar, but we don't see much Rammus these days. We're getting towards our second items for JDG. We've got a Mountain Dragon in their back pocket, the gold lead you mentioned, but crucially here, the Herald to really push the tempo further since xiye has ultimate, is in a side lane with that unsealed spellbook. And as the turret goes down, more and more objectives falling against V5. Struggling to defend here with the wave clear they have available. And even in that bottom lane, you know, Langx pushing out, can't go too far forward with the vision being controlled by JDG.
Yeah, an interesting thing to note during that, you know, past 30 seconds was we saw the dynamic that we were mentioning earlier, right? JDG playing out through 3 lanes, right? Both their solo laners in a side lane, their 3-man core.
Spotted.
V5 playing this 2-lane setup with Ornn pushing out in bot.
Lyric, I just noticed there is ppgod, who they were waiting for a flank. LokeN was walking forward, but ppgod was outside of the brush. And that was very easy to spot. So pings get slammed on down, and now for ppgod, there's a killer instinct available, but not going to take it considering it's too deep in the enemy jungle. That Herald being held onto, waiting for where Kanavi puts it. Because the only outer turret left remaining is towards the bottom side.
And JDG can just keep doing what they're doing, right? Catch waves in mid. Once again, xiye going back up towards that top side. He might not have a teleport, but he does have his ultimate available. I like the Herald dropping play. Going to be able to secure this turret quite easily. And then after this, right, we're getting some recalls off. You pivot back to mid lane. You keep making the same play. Push out through mid, get deep vision in the enemy jungle, and start looking for these picks.
Wave's perfectly set up for this as well. Hex flash over the wall. JDG is sticking around. They want a second charge. V5 are here to meet them. I'm not sure what else they find. So stopping the Herald from getting the charge is good, but still, JDG now with a 5k gold lead at 20 minutes in this game. This has just moved into a very unfavorable place. LokeN even has his Kraken Slayer second. So this next drag, and if V5 contests this, they could lose it all. And the question is whether they're going to.
I think for V5, I want to see how much gold Y4 backs with if you can get that second item, pick up the Collector. I definitely feel like that would be a good time to fight. Again, we are seeing that back come out now. Of course, we know Jhin, Syndra, these champions quite good on, the 1 and 2 item mark. That Collector does come out, and I think the game isn't necessarily going to get too much easier for V5. Of course, you do have the Ornn items coming in later on, but that Kai'Sa scaling up to become quite a monster. Already has the Kraken Slayer. Graves as well, right? Only going to kind of get stronger as the game progresses against a lot of the squishy carries that V5 relies on.
It does really feel like Ornn needs to get those items upgraded as soon as possible. He's level 13. I'm not sure what the EXP bar is, but he's been sitting in the side lane for a while. So Langx, if he can get some of those item upgrades sooner rather than later, then the early access to power to give a bit of gold to V5. About a K, give or take, per item upgrade these days. Is V5, they're moving into River Lyric. It's 10 seconds till it spawns, but very skeptical right now. Good little Deadly Flourish as a follow-up, but this continues forward. The ultimate use, Showstopper, great. They've found Mo. Killer Instinct in the backline. JDG already have a man advantage, and Zoom will heal this up. As Weiwei goes on in, call the Forge God. Lions on the backside. They need some DPS to follow through. It's up to Y4, but LvMao zones him out. And JDG have played this fight better than a Christmas tree has played its role in holding presence. As LokeN is going to get curtain called, LvMao needs him to block. And LokeN will manage to do exactly that. JDG have done what they needed to move towards the mountain. Low health bars, but they still feel confident.
And it's such a cool combo to watch, right? The Stride Breaker set with the Destiny coming in from the Twisted Fate. They can pretty much guarantee Mo or Y4 being dead anytime they have both of those actives available. The thing, though, is V5 actually held that off pretty well, right? Y4's ultimate chunking them out. We saw Langx almost killing Kanavi on the backside of that fight. So V5 are still the team that's able to pick up the Drake. They are now on Soul Point. But JDG 6k gold ahead, it feels a bit insurmountable. But here is the combo we were talking about, right? We see the ultimate come out, and then the Destiny followed by the Twisted Fate. Kanavi keeps going forward, jumping into the other members with Langx on the back end, not really able to be the tank that V5 needed.
Yeah.
But now Kanavi just going to keep looking for some aggressive counter jungling.
This is TP. Langx is teleported, and literally, he's at his zen. Fair enough. He's thinking about it. Just meditating for now.
I mean, you could see there, right? Langx was thinking that JDG were going to, aggress further into V5's jungle and was hoping to come off with a good angle wrapping around, even especially so with Zoom on the bottom side of the map. But JDG respecting the fact that they don't know where Langx was. Maybe they even see the TP and Fog of War, right? We can't know, but they have the respect. They back off. They get the deep vision, and now it's just going to be about kind of playing this Baron dance for the side of JDG. Destiny is up once again if they want to start looking for some of these picks.
As Killer Instinct used, it's onto Y4 once again, the targeting, but this is a dive from JDG. How long can it be withstanded as the curtain call is going to line down and Jgl goes down? ppgod with the follow-through. It's Weiwei for xiye. And V5 on the chase. Pings down, they're going to run it right through mid as JDG are on the retreat path.
And this game has been a lot closer than you would expect, with the gold and kill lead in favor of JDG. JDG obviously have still controlled this game every step of the way, but...
Oh, kill the ppgod, alright. But hits absolutely no one, and V5 now just have to leave.
Yep, V5, their carry's not really having a great ability to follow up, right? You have a Syndra and a Jhin right next to you, so Jhin already blowing his ultimate earlier on. No real way to walk forward with all that damage. Only Leona and Ornn would be able to follow through, so instead backing off. Not really a good ultimate coming out from Langx, but hey, resets are going to come out. Dragon's going to be up in another 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah. And I mean, then for V5, it all comes down to a 50-50, right? If Weiwei can land that smite, you get more bonus resistances, you get that massive shield coming in, and that might be the play for V5 to, you know, be able to start fighting back in this game.
Still very possible. 2 minutes 30 till Dragon. I have to apologize. I said Jgl instead of xiye. I'm very used to seeing Jgl on Twisted Fate as well. It's kind of funny because I think in 2020 they had very similar champion pools. You know, the big difference was always like seeing more of the Kassadin from xiye and seeing what xiye pulled out on LGD. So I apologize about that.
I think the big difference was the fact that, right, Jgl really specialized in like a few champions, but still played like other champions in LPL, right? The Zoe, the LeBlanc obviously is best, but still pulled out the Twisted Fate, still pulled out the Silas, to where xiye just played everything that was meta, you know, pretty consistently.
And with xiye in this game, you know, he's showing us that the Twisted Fate is still there with the Lich Bane now in hand. A broken stopwatch and a tear just hidden in the inventory with full stacks. So xiye has the ability to get a Seraph's Embrace. Remember, we are on 10.25B, so nothing like the Manamune going to be seen here. From the AP carry through the mid lane. Also note, we've got Deadman's in the top lane. Collector, Last Whisper with a Cloak of Agility. So 2 and a bit items there for the Graves. Just kind of tattling off what we see on JDG. We're going to get that Renan's Hurricane third from the Kai'Sa, but the question is, are we going to see it before this fight? Because Baron has been started by JDG.
Yeah, JDG looking for the play, and again, they're ready to turn Alistar great at starting up these fights.
It could just be gone. Weiwei's got to think about going in, tries to spear, but he's zoned on.
Oh!
Gets it with a curtain call. Y4 has just done the impossible.
Hey, we talked about this earlier in their series against eStar. They came back with a cheeky Baron play, and once again, Y4 stepping up to be the AD carry that this team needed. A lot of us V5 fans expected, you know, maybe another AD carry on the roster alongside Y4, but Y4 in this tournament really showing up.
Holy Christmas tears, man. That was something to see. We're going to get a replay for sure, but Y4 may have just done the unthinkable to bring V5 ready to contest at Soul Point and put pressure on in this game.
Let's remember that JDG are still about 5k gold ahead, right? So they do have the item advantage coming into this still. A lot of core items being picked up. Y4 actually just picking up that rapid fire cannon for himself. So this really feels like it's going to be the moment that decides the game. We're seeing a lot of the Ornn items come out as well. So Langx only going to get scarier.
Weiwei walking in, trying to steal this one. Not done, though. It is Grave secure with a showstopper from Zoom. They line them up. V5 still in an unfavorable position. It's Malta die first. Collateral damage. Kanavi walking forward like the Mafia man that he is. The Zoom doesn't care that he's low. The Solar Flare on xiye timed out well with the Zhonya's Hourglass. Gold card at the ready as Y4 picks up the Alistar on the back end. We're now ready for the Searing Charge. Beautifully done by Langx, but it is a battle of wits. Zoom and Kanavi have taken them all down. It's Langx who's not going to be taking enough for this engage. Forward he goes to his death as JDG's jungle top take it all.
I love the confidence coming out from both sides, starting off with LokeN jumping in, you know, to start off that engage, find the pick off onto Weiwei and Mole, and then at the end there, Y4 and ppgod and Langx, all three flashing it aggressively, thinking that they can take that 3v4, but of course, Kanavi and Zoom strong enough to where they can win out on this fight. And it's just so cool to see, again, the tools from JDG's composition come in. The Destiny come out from xiye. Kai'Sa using that ultimate to go forward. The Sett, again, whether it's the Stride Breaker or his ultimate. And here we are going to see the fantastic steal come in from Y4. Kanavi smiting just a bit too early. And then here, like you said, Weiwei trying to go for the steal, but Kanavi's smite on point. We see xiye flash in onto Mole. Mole stepping a bit too far forward. LokeN following in with the ultimate. And Kanavi, again, just trudging forward. This is a 3v4 for V5. And now we're going to see all of their members just flash to that left side, hoping to kind of pick off Zoom, LokeN, and xiye. And they do go in, they do get the pick off onto xiye, but sadly, the 2 members of JDG are just too strong right now.
Weiwei felt it. He's like, I'm flashing into this, boys. I don't really think he needed to, but he decided to flash in melee range right into the middle of that fight and probably pressed Gale Force while he was at it. So Weiwei went from stealing Baron to maybe not, shouldn't have been flashing into that. He's now got an upgraded Typhoon, by the way, so he's very strong.
I feel like his position really didn't matter. Like, whether he flashed it or not, he was probably dead. So, you know, taking the confidence play, though I agree with you, I don't know if it really made a difference. Maybe he wasn't in auto range of xiye, because xiye was the man he ultimately killed. So, I don't think that decided his death, though. So, please, don't disrespect my boy Weiwei.
I'm sorry, Larry, I never hurt you. This actually happened when we were in the replay. A solo kill from Wei to get Kanavi as he's on his jungle, used by the Pantheon ulti. So that's why Kanavi has his first death of the game, was able to give over the bounty and really enable that Black Cleaver pickup from Weiwei, who has been 2 levels behind consistently through this game, but still feeling good. As Lyric, we are giving Ornn items over right now. We've got a syzygy once again from the... oh god, this is going to be so hard. From the Eclipse, think planets. We've also got the Eyes of Luden, or Eye of Luden, on Mole Syndra, and I talked about it before, Gale Force has turned into Typhoon on the Jhin. So we're getting a lot of that gold across the board, even though it is a 5k gold lead. Think more 3 to 4, if even that at this point, with Langx's Ornn. So 3 items across the board. Lyric, Void stuff also just picked up by Mole.
And something that's, I think, going to be interesting is, you know, you mentioned Ornn items once again. I feel like the problem for V5 might just be how these compositions play out, right? Because we mentioned that pretty much every member on the side of JDG, even the Graves, you know, having the Gale Force as well, they all have a way to dash and get in the face of either Mole or Y4. Even if Mole and Y4 are behind some of the front line coming out from you know, their squad, JDG have a very easy time of, you know, getting the plasma down for LokeN to ult into the backline. We've already mentioned the Destiny coming out from xiye. Zoom having 3 ways to close the distance.
Is Langx caught out? No, he's not. Okay. Sorry to interrupt there. And the gap closing conversation is really, really important. I think the audience needs to remember that each and every fight, that gap close has been used specifically to hit Mole. You know, you talk about Weiwei being zoned out. You know, LvMao's been doing that, as xiye almost caught out there with the Deadly Flourish. But Mole has been the sole target. He's died 4 times because JDG have his number.
I also think it leads to an interesting conversation that me and you were having the other day, where Mole actually has done 30% of his team's damage this tournament while getting the least resources on the team.
True, the least goal percentage, right? It's Destiny time from xiye, but he's almost dead.
Oh!
The hats on his hourglass comes through, but ppgod will take him down. Ultimate use for Zoom to get out, but call the Forge God. Lines down and hits LvMao. Scatter the weak, searing charge. Weiwei gets the kill as Pantheon ulti from Weiwei. They want Mountain Soul, and with a 3 versus 5, they might be able to do it.
And that was not coordinated from JDG like every other instance we've seen. It's always been xiye and Zoom going in tandem. This time xiye going in thinking he can gold card and Zhonya's, but V5 have the CC. They lock him down instantly. And sure, he's able to Zhonya's in the end with 1 HP, so V5 pick him off. But hey, leads to Soul. It's going to lead to a Baron as well. And this is where things might start being able to swing back into V5's favor. Of course, JDG still have the gold lead. They still have tools to take this game, but ball going back into V5's court.
xiye has teleport, 5 seconds. Teleport being used by Mole after clearing the mid wave. It's 5 versus 4 for now, rather 3 because Alistar's not there. The flash forward from ppgod, dodged away by Kanavi, but the Soul Fade layers onto Zoom. Stride Breaker gets him out of the way, but the Zenith Blade follow-up, and Weiwei's all about that nonsense. As V5 stack in this corridor, they do find the top laner in Zoom. Kanavi gets knocked up. It's Curtain Call 1, but 2's not needed. ppgod survives from the turret as well.
Oh, xiye!
V5... What's going on? xiye's gone through mid. So V5 are going to have to back.
Yeah, xiye going for this play in the mid lane. And let's remember, that's how LGD won so many of their games with xiye's backdoor. But hey, that's not detracting V5. They're still looking for the Baron. They're still looking for the fight.
They are. LvMao sticking around. Remember, there's no jungle, so there's no smite. ppgod is healed up with the Mountain Dragon. His Killer Instinct used, but the shielding's so great until LvMao comes on in. They turn around for the Alistar, but Baron has not been de-aggroed. xiye off to the wing. He wants to steal. Destiny's being used. They knock him off.
Oh!
He took smite with the spell book, and that's another steal, but this time over to JDG.
Oh my god, that is absolutely tragic for V5 fans. I mean, I guess it's, you know, it's karma. We see V5 steal a Baron earlier. JDG get their due and get their own Baron. It felt like that was really one of the tools that V5 needed to be able to, you know, start closing out this game. I guess the good thing is they still have the soul, so obviously JDG are going to use this Baron to start pushing down lanes. Maybe they go back to that 3-lane setup we talked about before. But if we do come into a 5-man versus 5-man stack, again, just going to come down to, I think, that coordination from JDG once again with finding that pick onto Mole.
He has smite lyric, so this was ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, it's ballsy, but still, I understand having to look for this play, right? Members of your team just kind of dying around you. He does have the spellbook, picks up the smite, like you say, goes in, and we see Weiwei smite just a tad bit too early.
xiye. Big boy xiye. Also, Lyric, the fun part is they were either the same level or xiye was a level up, so his smite with an extra 40 damage. Just something to keep track of. Not that it really made the difference in the end, but still, the 4-item Twisted Fate on xiye has brought this game back to a position where JDG can play with it. And they got Baron buff for a minute 35 on 4 members. And with that as well, this will set them up for the push, set them up for the upcoming Elder. Get even more gold in those back pockets with 4 5th items. We're getting towards that late game final build. And V5 with the Mountain Soul, trying to get something in the jungle with LvMao stepping too far forward. That Solar Flare just walked away from.
Yeah, and again, going to be a pretty big cooldown down for the side of V5. Of course, you do still have the Call of the Forge God if you want to look for and engage. JDG can take this one a bit slow since they do have those super minions pushing in the mid lane.
Let's see. Bottom wave is actually pushing against JDG, I believe, as well, to keep track of. As Baron minions channeling in one more time. A lot of wave clear here on V5, but this wave should do the trick as JDG push up to the turret, but it is re-engaged. Under the turret, it's already dead from ppgod. He's getting taken down, and that's just a free Sett ulti with a face breaker in there as well. Call the Forge God, plays down 3, but xiye on the backline looking for White4. That's the flash away, but Mole's dead once again. JDG's gap close is insane. Forcing the flash out from Langx on the way through. Inhibitor at the ready. 2 big death timers Lyric, and this could be all she wrote for game 1.
Yeah, and we see White4 trying to use the ultimate to dissuade JDG. They do have some low health bars, but all their carries are still healthy.
Langx has to block this one as Zoom goes into the backline onto Y4. Langx is down though as Weiwei is chasing down this top laner while his base is getting broken apart. Gold card onto Y4 again with a bare Nexus, and JDG through a Baron steal. Take game 1 back.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of great skirmishing coming out from JDG this game. Again, I love how we saw them
Good elements out of both teams, and while the gold didn't swing that much back and forth, JDG in the end, you know, had the stronger game plan throughout.
I think JDG just had the stronger... I think they were a bit better across the board, right? They had the stronger, like fundamental understanding of, I think, how their comp worked out. We saw them controlling the 3 lanes well, like we talked about was one of their win conditions. Again, great skirmishing, great team fighting coming in, and they did make...